So, apparently Joe Rogan has the most popular podcast on Spotify, and he's repeatedly spread COVID misinformation and invited guests on to do the same.
Went from Walter Cronkite, basically, to this guy, Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. I checked it. He believes in dragons? He believes in dragons.
Did you triple source that?
Yes, I did. And he also thinks that dragons, I guess like dinosaur-y type of animals, roamed the earth when people did.
Worried about losing your job, and you're worried about podcasts taking over, and who's the source of news, and we said Donald Trump was Hitler, but half the country disagreed with us, and he won, and this is and Joe Rogan believes in dragons.
Picture this: Joe Rogan quietly sipping his elk smoothies, minding his own business, until The View mouths off one too many times. Now he's hitting back with a $100 million defamation lawsuit so heavy, it probably deserves its own Spotify. Contract. Joy's lost. Sunny's sweating. Whoopi's rethinking every word she said. Is this a court case or the weirdest crossover episode in TV history? Either way, it's about to get messy. Really messy. And how it all started? Yeah, you're gonna want to see this.
That's why people like our show, because they know that we are checked by ABC News. But
We're checked by everybody.
Yeah, I mean, if we're wrong, we have, the legal note here.
The human legal note.
I don't know. Hey, this is the most important part. This is right after she was saying, we are run by ABC News. You should trust us, not Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons. So she by saying we should trust them because they're double checked by ABC News, and then making the stupidest f***ing statement. Like you didn't listen to what I said.
Yeah.
You didn't listen to what the wildlife out, and that's only a part of what he said.
I can't believe
the other
Joy
part of what he
Behar
said
didn't
was
weigh.
there was something before that where he was explaining encounters with giant reptiles.
Picture Joe Rogan on mid-kettlebell swing or deep into decoding the universe with ayahuasca, suddenly pausing, raising an eyebrow, and saying, yeah, this circus, over. Because after years of being the go-to punching bag for daytime, TV's self-proclaimed moral overlords, Rogan finally decided he's done being silent target practice for the queens of caffeinated chaos, also known as the hosts of The View.
Show has this very specific ideological bubble in which they operate in, and they always bring on a token conservative woman, and they yell over her and silence her, and they did that with Meghan McCain, and they did that with what is that other blonde woman from Survivor? Do you remember her, Jamie? She was always yelling. I mean, it's a bizarre show.
The View, basically brunch with wine moms who skim one headline and suddenly think they can rewrite the Constitution. You know the setup: 5 women, 1 table, 0 filters, and just enough passive aggression to power a nuclear submarine. Naturally, in all their infinite wisdom, they thought it'd be brilliant to accuse Joe Rogan of, well, just about everything except faking the moon landing.
Joe Rogan here. Did you see Joe Rogan, who believes in dragons, I guess, according to Joy Behar, he changed his X profile. Did you see this?
That. I did see that.
It now just simply says dragon believer. He had talked about dragons on the show. It's the thing of it is, you take anything out of context and you can make fun of it and mock it. And so, let's do that. It goes without saying, Joe Rogan, how many times more intelligent do you think Joe Rogan is than Joy Behar?
Here's the kicker. Joe Rogan wasn't even there, didn't show up, didn't wave from the parking lot, didn't send a Spotify sticker, and still, they made him the centerpiece of their gossip buffet. Picture it, Joy Behar rolling her eyes. So hard she almost sprained something while Whoopi steps in as the moral referee, with the kind of tone you'd expect from someone who's clearly never Googled the word irony.
People want us divided, and they aren't just here in this country. They're foreign adversaries who are infiltrating our social media because it is prudent for us to stay that way. So when you see something that really pisses you off, you should triple check that one.
The bad information that's going out there.
Well, in defense, there are some really good news.
It's possible that Donald Trump did roam the earth when dinosaurs were here.
There are some really good news kind of influencer types, and I think it's great that they're getting information about global and current events in front of younger people who
maybe don't tune into traditional media. But to Sarah's point, there has to be some fact checking and actually verification of the things that are shared, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram Reels and I'm served up things that I get outraged about. And then I realize, oh, that's not even true. But
so what did Rogan do? Exactly what you'd expect from a former Fear Factor host turned podcast heavyweight. He dropped a $100 million lawsuit like a steel chair in a WWE match. Yeah, the same guy who once made people eat cow intestines for prize money is now handing out legal papers like it's his next survival challenge. And let's be clear, this wasn't about hurt feelings. Joe Rogan doesn't care if they hate his haircut or his lifestyle. But defamation, that's a different game, because when you start messing with contracts, credibility, and Spotify streams, that's not just talk, that's damage. It's one thing to say, I don't agree with the guy. It's another to sit on national TV, sip coffee, and claim he's endangering humanity, like you just cracked world peace over brunch. Apparently, the ladies on The View thought they had some kind of immunity, like saying it before noon turns. Defamation into a warm-up segment. But newsflash, being on ABC doesn't make you Judge Judy with a glam squad. And now, they're finding out the hard way that throwing accusations at a guy with a $200 million platform and a black belt in calling out BS might not have been the smartest move.
See what Whoopi Goldberg said?
What'd she say?
Whoopi Goldberg said that Biden could arrest all the Republicans and put them in jail. You just need to see how unhinged this kind of thinking is. Well, you know what Joe Biden could do? Joe Biden, you have to see it, because it's so
on TV.
crazy.
She said
on television.
You know, just let's look at a scenario where the Supreme Court says, yes, he has all those rights. He is immune from everything.
Yeah.
You know what Joe Biden could do since he is presently president?
What?
Whoa. He could throw every Republican in jail.
This lawsuit? Yeah, it's no joke. Joe's legal team didn't stroll in with some polite cease and desist written on floral stationery. They came loaded. Receipts, video clips, transcripts, a full breakdown of everything The View said matched. Side by side with actual facts. You know, facts, that rare thing daytime TV seems to have misplaced. So what crossed the line? Well, when you accuse someone of intentionally spreading misinformation, especially someone with millions of listeners, you better have proof. The View? They had opinions, loud, unfiltered, barely connected to reality, and about as stable as a Jenga tower mid-earthquake. And this isn't Rogan being thin-skinned, it's business. When The View casually tosses his name into the misinformation blender and hits puree, it doesn't just make noise, and it messes with deals. Spotify likes buzz, sure, but not when it becomes liability. That lawsuit, it argues exactly that. These weren't random remarks. They were reputation-level napalm, and The View's response? Classic. Performance mode, Joy looked like someone just canceled her Amazon Prime. And Sunny, trying to lawyer her way out of it mid-episode, like she earned a law degree during the last commercial break.
I agree that Joe Rogan is a horror. I
mean, I'm not saying that Joe Rogan should be removed from Spotify. He's got 11 million listeners. He's got a $100 million, contract as of 2020. But I do think as the podcast platform, you have to have some sort of guidelines. How about a disclaimer on his podcast that says, this is misinformation?
And Whoopi? Yes, tapping into her inner philosopher queen, dropping lines like, well, it's just our opinion, as if that's some kind of legal force field. But here's the thing, once you broadcast an opinion to millions, it better come with receipts, or at least a giant disclaimer. Instead, they went with, let's just call him dangerous and hope the applause drowns out the liability. The irony? Rogan addressed the whole mess on his podcast, the most listened to podcast on the planet, by the way. That's like The View trying to slap a heavyweight and the hit getting replayed in every gym, sauna, and conspiracy subreddit on Earth. And Joe didn't hold back. He took their claims apart, laughed at the absurdity, and did it with that smirk that basically says, I live in truth, you live in talking points. And the fans, they showed up, Reddit threads longer than legal. Briefs, YouTube comments turning into case law Twitter. A digital coliseum. Team Rogan out here forging memes like battle weapons, while The View's defenders were busy Googling how to unwatch a clip. But let's be real. This isn't just about Joe versus daytime TV drama. It's about media responsibility. Because for years, shows like The View have played fast and loose with facts, hiding behind the soft cushion of daytime talk.
arguably like the real fans of The View that are like, oh, these ladies are on point. Most of those people can't leave the house. Like they're probably immobile.
Right. Because their mom's taking their kids to school, and that's yeah.
It's a very strange show, but it's fun to watch. It's just fun to watch them.
It's good entertainment.
Yeah,
undoubtedly.
Well, they're just, it's interesting because I think Sunny is very intelligent, but she's ideologically captured.
Right.
That's sort of, I think the other ones, there's a couple of the other ones, don't have to name any names, are just very dull-minded.
They joke, they judge, they take shots, but the second someone fires back, suddenly it's just entertainment. No harm, no foul. But when you start naming names and dragging reputations, that light talk show defense falls apart faster than a Kardashian marriage. This $100 million lawsuit? It's not just payback, it's a warning, a signal that the era of consequence-free commentary might be hitting a wall. You can't just throw out half-baked narratives about public figures and assume no one's going to clap back, especially when the target pulls more listeners than primetime news combined. And let's not pretend The View hasn't fumbled before. This is the same show that once debated whether the earth is flat, a place where rewriting history sometimes passes as brunch chatter. And now they're shocked that someone with the reach, the rage, and the receipts actually fought back. Meanwhile, Rogan, he's on his podcast sipping mushroom tea, calmly tearing their arguments apart like he's grading white belts at a beginner jiu-jitsu class. No yelling, no panic, just quiet dismantling with a grin, because nothing shakes smug TV hosts more than someone who can out-talk them without even trying. And the timing, brutal. Just when The View thought they were basking in political righteousness, boom, here comes a legal tsunami. They thought they were scoring claps from the crowd. Instead, they woke up in a cage match with a guy who literally trains in one.
The show that people love to hate.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
They get so much hate watching and hate watching viral clips of them saying ridiculous things. I mean, it is a rabies-infested hen house.
and at the same time, it seemed like the most interesting part was their audience seemed to be on my side.
Yes.
And that's their audience.
Yes. Well, their audience is not really their audience. Their audience is a group of people they bring in to watch television shows.
There's something almost poetic about it. The same people who constantly demand accountability from public figures, now ducking behind the excuse of "we were just talking." It's like they've never heard the phrase defamation lawsuit. Spoiler, every lawyer has. And apparently, so does Joe. Then, crash, boom, silence. The kind of silence that makes you wonder if Joy Behar just yanked her mic cord. That was The View's first reaction when news broke. Joe Rogan was firing a $100 million and legal cannonball straight at their Manhattan studio. No snarky clapback, no eye roll, just silence. ABC, of course, did what every massive media company does when it gets caught with its rhetorical pants down. They ran straight to legal Disney's attorneys. Since they own ABC, reportedly jumped into emergency meetings, probably asking the same question everyone at home was thinking. Wait, did we really say something that might cost us the GDP of a small country? And publicly? They dropped a carefully crafted corporate safe statement, something like, "We're aware of the matter and reviewing our legal options," which in legal terms really just means, "Dear God, please don't let this go to trial."
I had to read the thing about The View because I just thought it was funny.
What's this?
The only reason why I read that about me.
Dragon lover.
Joy Behar was trying to say that I believe in dragons.
Wait, what is this? I just heard about
it. I checked it. And the lady goes, "Did you double check this?" She goes, "I checked it. He believes in dragons."
Should be like,
you think they lived alongside
bitch.
of people?
Behind the scenes? Yeah, it wasn't nearly as polished. The mood? Somewhere between a Real Housewives reunion and a corporate compliance seminar. Speculation kicked off faster than Whoopi could say, allegedly. Would there be a retraction? Apology? A dramatic sit-down where someone fake cries into a mug of chamomile tea? Nothing official yet, but word is, internally, as they floated the idea of a clarification on air, which is network speak for. We're not admitting guilt, but please don't hit us with a 9-figure lawsuit. Meanwhile, the internet, straight up. Roman Coliseum, Rogan's fan base wasn't just cheering. They were doing backflips. Reddit threads lit up with titles like "Joe Rogan versus The View, let the bodies hit the floor." They weren't just supportive, they were thrilled. And the irony? Now both sides were yelling about free speech, just for completely opposite reasons. Which brings us to the real headline in this courtroom circus: why this lawsuit actually matters.
Why doesn't The View have any trans women on it?
Great point. It has a lot of women that look trans, but none of them. It has a lot of second and third takes. After a drink, you'd go, huh? But it doesn't have a ton of, yeah.
Because this isn't just about one podcast guy going at a table of talk show hot takes. It's about that messy, dangerous, popcorn-greased line between free speech and reckless mouthfire. We're living in a time where talking heads hold more influence than actual politicians. So when a daytime talk show, it broadcasts to millions, like throws out serious accusations without blinking, you gotta ask, where's the accountability? Just because it's wrapped in a laugh track doesn't mean it's harmless. Rogan's lawsuit, one whether you think he's brilliant or just a sentient protein shake with Wi-Fi, is really asking, can you casually label someone dangerous on national TV? And walk away without consequences? And even if he doesn't win in court, the precedent, it could be massive, because if this sticks, it won't just be The View lawyering up. Influencers, TikTokers, YouTubers, all of them will start checking their mentions a little more carefully. Those just joking roast videos, yeah, they'll hit different. And here's the twist. This isn't just legal. It's cultural. Rogan's not just clapping back. He's going after the entire media machine with a steak knife. And a Spotify check. He's saying, try to cancel me with lies. I won't post a sad video. I'll sue you and drop an episode about it. So next time someone on The View starts a sentence with, you know what Joe Rogan said, they might pause, even for a second, because in today's world, free speech still exists, but so do receipts, subpoenas, and lawyers who bill by the nanosecond. And let's be real, what the public is loving this. It's reality TV energy, the takedown of people who've made a living being untouchable? Yeah. We eat that up. Honestly, The View might want to install panic buttons under every chair at this point. Will this actually go to court? Probably not, because deep down, the network execs know what the hosts don't. Dragging this into public, View only makes it worse. Settling quietly with a fat stack of Disney hush money? Yeah, that's more their lane, but either way, the damage already done. The View messed with a man who doesn't just talk, he broadcasts. And when you throw accusations at someone with a louder mic and a bigger audience, you better be suited up in legal Kevlar. In the end, this whole mess is the ultimate reminder. In the age of viral facts and digital pitchforks, even the loudest mouths have to think before they squawk. And Rogan, he's just sitting back, probably shirtless, definitely entertained, armed with a podcast and a legal team that hits harder than a roundhouse to the ego.